We're making some moves. I'm Kelly Wilkness here with Anita Joyce, and this is Decorating Tips and Tricks, episode 399, Decor Moves to be on trend in 2020. It's the new year. You want to make some changes, and we've got some great ideas for you today so you can stay ahead of the game and ahead of the trends for 2020.
Yeah, and it's interesting how trends do. There's a lot of times there's a carryover one year to the next, and then some new things pop up, and some things kind of drop off the list. So it's very interesting. I like to see what the lists are every year, and there's always some surprises.
Right. So we did our forecasting trend episode for 2020 back in October, and we can link to that in the show notes so you can listen to that. I re-listened to that in preparation for today. I've got some specific ideas about how you can implement some of these trends that we see coming down the pike, now spreading right before us now that we're into the beginning of January. And Anita's got some overarching ideas about the trends and what you should be on the lookout for and what you might want to incorporate. The first one that I'd like to talk about today is the downsizing trend that we're seeing all over the country and really the world. But I guess maybe in America, we've always thought, supersize me, make it bigger, right? So the houses got super big. Whereas, lots of times in European countries, there's just everybody has a smaller footprint because there's less space overall. But definitely here in America, we're seeing a trend towards downsizing. So, if you're thinking about that or because you have a big house now and you're thinking about maybe getting a smaller place and just making it absolutely spectacular. Or if you're in the market to buy your first home, you might want to think about having a smaller square footage than, maybe you would have thought about 5-10 years ago, even 2 years ago. Because small is the new big. And so it's kind of ironic that you think the big trend, one of the big trends for 2020 is downsizing. So the big trend is to get smaller.
Well, that's interesting you say that because I have a new neighbor across the street. They're doing some renovating on the house they bought. They had a big house. They downsized, went to a condo or a townhouse. I'm trying to remember which. And now she said she couldn't take it anymore. And now she's upsizing again after downsizing. So she's already gone full circle, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt and said, it's not for me. So it may not be for everyone, but that's interesting because a lot of people are trying it. Not everyone is liking it. I think I could downsize only to so far, but I definitely could go smaller than I have now. I've already kind of walked through the house and thought I could do without a study if I had to. I could do without a breakfast room. I could, so I think I definitely could go smaller for sure.
Right. So if you're thinking about it, springtime is a great time to put your house on the market. That's what the realtor research has shown. So April through June is usually sort of a great time to put your house on the market. But what I did see in a couple of places, and I spoke to a real estate agent who's a dear friend of mine, and she said, if someone's thinking about it now, they should get their house ready and list it in February. So they're the first ones on the market. Because the thing that what happens in the spring too is everybody's read the same articles or gotten the same advice that springtime's a great time to put your house on the market. So while there'll be more potential buyers at that time, there are also more sellers. So there's a little bit more competition. It's a little busier, right? So if you get out there and you get ahead of the game and you're on the market in February, maybe these other houses, aren't ready to be actually put on the market. The photos aren't taken, something like that. And so you can kind of get a jump on some of the other competition.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, we've always sort of moved, because we wanted to go to a very completely different place. We've never really and so it kind of seemed like it always was sort of, this house was a different experience, but moving to California, it was like we were moving because, the time frame was set by a a work thing or whatnot. But if you have the time to think about it and consider it, definitely do some research into your particular area as to what is the best time of year. Because you may, if it doesn't matter if you moved in the spring or the fall or the winter, then you may be able to do better on the price and whatnot if you research the market with respect to the calendar.
Interesting. Well, I saw that garden rooms are hot right now and going to be hot for 2020. Are you seeing that? And I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about, well, we've had sunrooms in the past that used to be hot. Sometimes they were called a solarium, or a sunroom. And then they kind of seem to have gone out of favor. You never heard about them anymore. And now I'm hearing about garden rooms. And I'm wondering, is this a reboot of a sunroom, or is this just any room that has some windows where you put plants in them? And I'm kind of getting the impression it's just a room to put plants in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I haven't heard of that, but it really does make sense when you're thinking that, the colors are going greener. We're definitely feeling this pull back to nature. We're bringing nature in. Like a lot of the William Morris prints and whatnot, which are very nature based, are very hot right now, sort of coming back. So people are wanting to incorporate the natural world into their interiors. So I think that makes perfect sense on some of the other trends that I've been reading about, but I haven't heard specifically about a garden room. Now, if you're downsizing, chances are you're going to have a kitchen instead of a garden room. But if you can get a garden window,
just put the plants in there, and then it's your garden room and your kitchen,
and then it's your garden room. Exactly.
But so I think be careful with that though, because sometimes too many plants can look kind of junky. I think you have to be really careful with that. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yes. We've all seen the too many pots
and they're all leggy or
mismatched
not quite
potch,
right. Yeah.
and the plants are in different states of health. That's not a good look anywhere, garden room or front porch or what have you. So yeah, you want to be careful with that. Another thing, when you're talking about specific rooms in a house, this is something that we talked about in our trends forecast episode, is the trend towards having a dedicated office space in your home. And what we talked about in that episode was, gone are sort of the days of spreading out your laptop and your paperwork on the dining room table and leaving it there. Because you know what? It's not that you're just working at home for the afternoon. You might work at home all the time, or you might work at home 3 days a week. So you need, for your sanity, to have a special place where you go and do this. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be a big giant room, and it doesn't have to even be completely off to itself. So we talked about it in general terms last time. So this time I've researched some different options for desks that really can be incorporated into almost any space or any room that where you've got a little wall space. One is a floating wall desk. It has absolutely no legs. So any place that you have sort of a stretch of unused wall, you could put this, and then, you could use it, on a different occasion, even for, a break front or something, if you put it in your dining room, something like that, if you needed to. But it's a really good looking floating wall desk. It has just the top, and then I think there's like a sliding little drawer that comes out where you could put your keyboard and whatnot. This other one is a fold out convertible floating desk. So when it folds up, it actually just looks like a closed cabinet on the wall. And it's almost like a Murphy bed. Anita, I think you guys are going to really like this one in particular. You fold it out, and so then it has a horizontal top, and then a piece that comes down to the ground. And then what's affixed to the wall once it's opened up has little like mail slots, and then a little cork board. Even it's fabulous. And then there's another one, a desk that's actually a storage bookcase. So picture a bookcase against the wall with sort of open cubbies, if you will. And this just extends a little bit further and has two slim front legs. So your chair can fit right in there. It's perfect. It's fantastic. So there's a whole bunch of things out there. And then there's one corner desk. So if you just have a little space and you could tuck this desk in, it comes in various colors, but this blue is really pretty. So all of these things, I think the most expensive one was the first one I mentioned, the floating wall desk at $4.99, but the other ones are just hovering around $180 is the next one, and then as low as $103. So you could have a whole office space for under $200 for most of these, and then have all your stuff just organized in one spot. I think that would be a really nice way to kick off 2020.
I think that's nice. That's really cool. I mean, some people just want to take their computer and go wherever, anywhere to work, even to the coffee shop. But I think for someone who needs a space, who works from home, I think that's a great idea to kind of contain it, especially if you don't have a dedicated room for it. It's a great idea. So I'm thinking of also some smaller things, something that's not as involved as getting this office unit together, like you were talking about, is coffee stations. That is what I'm seeing is hot, hot, hot for 2020. And that's something that we've been seeing in the blogging world for several years, but apparently it's becoming mainstream, where somebody's got the nice coffee maker and the kind of setup like you're at, I guess, a Starbucks or something, where you've got your sweeteners, you've got your mix-ins, maybe your cocoa powder, your cinnamon, maybe, I don't know what else, your creamer, and it's all set out for guests or for people that live in the house. And I think that's a nice thing to do. In fact, somebody got a new coffee maker or espresso maker for Christmas. So somebody did. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Wasn't me. I'm not the coffee drinker, but yeah.
I know. So who got it?
It was Kevin.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. Kevin. Oh, that's nice. Those are really, and those machines can be really pretty.
This one's a pretty one, but it was not expensive though. So we got a special price for it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Well, maybe you put the link in the show notes if that price is
probably still not. Yeah, now, but yeah, I'll find the link for it though. I will find a link for it.
Okay. So another thing that we talked about was this color of the year being these various shades of green. So again, with wanting to bring nature in, like green, was around for a while. We have said in the past that, green is not a great wall color. It doesn't really make everyone look great. But I think that's when you think of that sort of sagey, celadon-y green, or like there's like that hospital green too, which is just not great, as far as making anybody look particularly good, or even your furnishings and whatnot. So that type of green is not that appealing to me. But I think I had mentioned Behr had a color very much like that as their color of the year. I'm not sure about that. But I went a little bit further in the idea of green being a hot paint color for 2020. And I said, let me look at some dark greens for everyone and let you know. There are some really beautiful dark greens. And that is more akin to that sort of, going with the room that doesn't get great lighting, just going dark, making it really enveloping feeling, giving it sort of this richness. So I've got 4 greens that I'm going to throw out to you guys. There's the Studio Green by Farrow & Ball, which is kind of their OG green. Like that was the original green that they used in their showrooms and some of their marketing materials and whatnot. So you might just be able to conjure that green up in your head if you're familiar with Farrow & Ball. Salamander is Benjamin Moore. Now, to me, salamander, I think like chameleon, like I think it's sort of almost like the Etsy color, more like chartreusey or, a really bright green, but the salamander is really dark and moody. So definitely a nice rich green. Then there's one called Backwoods by Benjamin Moore. That definitely evokes in its name a darker green. That's really a beautiful color. And then Black Spruce by Dunn & Edwards. I love that color. So those are really nice greens. So if you're thinking about maybe jumping on the green train in color at home, I would think about going dark. What do you think about those lighter greens, Anita? Did they ever work for you?
I've not done green paint in my home, but those sound so beautiful. And it actually kind of ties into my next item I was going to mention, which are the bold painted walls and bookcases. And I'm thinking of blues and greens. So some of these greens that you're talking about, aren't some of them kind of darker, bolder greens?
Oh, yeah. They're very dark and rich. And, I wouldn't say they're black, but they're dark.
Bold colors. Yeah. So I think that is so on trend. And I think I showed you some of the pictures from that gorgeous home tour that we went on with the bold green bookcases and trim. And it was just stunning, just stunning. I'm still thinking about that beautiful home. I just want to change up a couple of rooms in my house now.
Yeah, but that's what's so fun about going to those things. So yeah, if anybody has, lots of times they're around the holiday time, but New Year too, in the winter time, lots of time there are new showcase houses and things like that. Such a fun way to spend an afternoon, and you get so many great ideas. I was even getting ideas from Anita just sending me some photos of the one that she went to. Because it's almost like runway fashion. They're going to take it a little bit further. Like this particular one that Anita went to, in the dining room, the ceiling was orange.
Oh, it was gorgeous. And the walls were this dark, rich green wallpaper with lots of color, and they had monkeys on there. It was really charming. Then with the orange ceiling, I mean, they really went over the top. It was beautiful. And this was not a show home. I mean, this is just where a family lives.
Oh, yes. Really? Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that.
It's a very exclusive neighborhood. But yeah, it's just a family home, but quite gorgeous.
Well, the next time I come to visit you, we're going to go knock on the door so I can see that in person.
Yeah,
I thought that was a showcase home. That's going to be gone.
Like you have to have they have gate. It's a gated community, and I don't know anybody there, so you'll be climbing over the fence to get in there.
Not a problem.
Okay, you can just wait. Maybe a car will come by, and you can run in.
Yeah, exactly, and then run for it. So another bold move is wallpaper. Really, you guys, do it this year. If you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, do it. But do your research, because there's so many great options there. And, sure, you can do something sort of conventional, and maybe you do some flowers or you do some regular toile. But there are so many bold and whimsical patterns out now that are so fun. Like I found this New York City toile. So when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's toile. But then you get closer and you can see what's really going on. And it's the buildings. It's not the, French people frolicking. So cool. So I'll put a link to that. It's from Temp Paper Designs. That was really cool. But there's just so many. I mean, I could sit here and list for an hour, all the ones that are really interesting and wallpapers that you should take a look at. But, in your color frame, and it is overwhelming to look at them. But the sites that are good, and they service you well, you can limit it by color, by price, all sorts of things. So you can really curate the collections that they have. So, don't be overwhelmed to just going page by page. Go to the side, limit what you're looking for, and then you can sort of hone in on what's going on, and that what might work for you.
The wallpaper is so hot right now, and I think it's because everything was so neutral, and I still love neutral. I still love calm, peaceful, and limited patterns. I mean, I still love that look, but I think everybody kind of jumped on that bandwagon. I think it was just kind of became oversaturated as far as a look online.
Right. Unsaturated became
right. So I think now, it's the pendulum swinging. Whatever's in 1 year, or I shouldn't even say 1 year. I mean, that was in for like 5-6 years. And now people are wanting something different. So of course it's color, it's pattern, it's splashy. So of course wallpaper is super popular right now. And there's so many beautiful patterns. And I love the wallpapers that have the dark color on them. So you really know this is a beautiful wallpaper with a lot going on. I mean, if you're going to do it, why not go big and exciting? I think there's so many beautiful ways you can go there. And then along with that, I mean, are you getting what we're saying? Dark colors on the trim and the doors. So, I mean, the trend. So really a lot of the stuff you've said, Kelly, and what I'm saying is the opposite of the neutrals and the calm rooms. Now it's lots of pattern and lots of color. So lots of pattern on the walls and then the color on the trims. So rather than a white trim, people are maybe going with a black trim, a dark trim, maybe a navy trim on the windows, on the doors, dark doors, and like black doors are really hot right now.
Yeah. Very true. So here's the design um, dilemma, if you will, or let's spin it positively. Here's the design opportunity, right? You don't want to, I mean, maybe, but there's very few of us that would say, yeah, let's have an orange ceiling, out of the blue. That's maybe not going to work with the rest of your room. It certainly worked in that one particular house that Anita visited because the whole house was,
well, let me say this for that house too. They had money. So in 2 years, when they're bored with that, they can just change it all up and it's not going to be a big deal. For some people, that's not the case.
Right. Well, for most of us, you're not going to want to be changing it anyway. But what the design opportunity here is to take these new trends, if you will, the pendulum swinging back to the boldness and the color, and incorporate it with the neutrals that you may already have, or incorporate it with whatever you already have going on. So you take bits, you go a la carte, and this is why we love presenting the forecast to you. And now we're giving you some concrete items and real honed in ideas that you can use now to be on trend in 2020. So you sort of a la carte pick and choose what will work for you. And I would suggest in small doses, dip your toe in, unless you're just like, oh my gosh, I love this monkey wallpaper. I must have it everywhere. Probably not, right? So maybe you just do one of those wallpaper panels that I've told you about, creating that with that easy tutorial. Or maybe you do your powder room or even your master bath. Or maybe you paint your bedroom a dark color. And now I'm talking to myself right now because I really want to do that, but I'm like, am I going to love it? So I think that's one of the moves that I'm going to make. I'm not going to make it green or orange. I'm going to do a dark gray. I'm probably going to do the Kendall charcoal that I love, but I'm getting the trend. I'm getting the dark. I'm trying that and I'm making it work with everything that I have already. So it's going to complement what I already have going on in my house, but just sort of shake it up a little bit because, that's what decorating's all about. It should not only be comfortable and fulfilling but sometimes it needs to be a little bold and just make you excited about it. So I'm kind of excited to do that. I think
you could do it either way. I mean, you can do the toe dipper or you can be the diver. The one that just dives right in and does it all up. And that's a look. So if you want to have that bold look, I mean, you're going to have to just dive in to get that full look. But if you just want to have a little bit of that trend, if you're like, yeah, I'm kind of bored with, my neutral house, I want to add something, then you can just do the toe dip and just add some patterned pillows or add a little bit here or there. Maybe put a throw on the back of your sofa. I mean, that's pretty reversible. So yeah, I think there are a lot of these things that you can do in small doses and they're not going to be big expenses and they're going to be pretty reversible. But yeah, the wallpaper, if you decide to wallpaper your living room, it's probably going to be an expense and it's going to be an expense to change.
Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health, potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Okay, another simple way to add something that's on trend is that burnt yellow, the ochre color that I love. I just think it's a really easy color to work with. Unlike chartreuse, Etsy. I'm sorry, a chartreuse is Etsy's color of the year. We learned in the last episode.
Is harder to work with.
Isn't that interesting?
That's just my thoughts on that.
Well, I think you're absolutely right in your decor. So I shouldn't say that. For me, the yellow would be easier to work with. It is definitely a color of the moment. And I found a couple of things to direct your attention to in this color. One thing is this giant, and I mean giant, knit blanket. And when I say giant, I mean the actual yarns are really big.
Are you talking about the arm knit blankets?
I don't think it's an arm knit one. It's even bigger than that. Like it almost
is this like the size for a giant?
It's not the size of the blanket. It's the yarn. Like I don't know what size sheep they got this yarn from, but it's giant yarn, giant loopy. I just think it could almost be almost like a little goofy looking, like it's right on the borderline. But I think I was looking at it from I think I really
is that
like
one of those where you're like,
it's just really different.
I can't really tell if I like this or not.
Exactly. So I will put the link in the show notes and you can make your own decision. And it comes in a lot of different colors, but they definitely had that color. And then another pillow that I found is this hand loomed silk pillow at West Elm, and they're calling it dark horseradish. Now, to any horseradish I've ever seen is kind of beige, so I'm not sure about that color.
Name for a color, I've got to say.
And then the other one I found is this great size. It's this 18 by 20 tassel velvet pillow, and it has these big chunky wool tassels that are dipped in the color. Very cool. On sale right now. And they're calling that one pesto. Now, pesto would be green, but this is clearly this yellow color.
Okay, that's weird.
I'll put the links to those in the show notes, and you can make your own decisions whether you like them or if the color names are right or not. But that would be an easy way to add this color of the moment into your home.
Well, that's interesting. So here's another thing that I'm seeing that I have not seen this in 20 years. They've been saying it's out, 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 and now I hear it's in. And that is the look, I know you know what I'm talking about, where there's one print and it is used on every single surface in the room, just about. So it would be, you know what I'm talking about? It's on the wallpaper, it's wallpaper, it's curtains, it's the sofa, it's the pillows, everything is this one pattern. And it's kind of a cool look, but I think it's one of those things where when you're tired of that pattern, you're in trouble because it's everywhere. But it is I still like, I've never stopped liking that, but I've never done it either. So.
Yeah, I think that's pretty tough to live with. Again, unless you're totally
you have to be really in love with it because it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's hard to tell where one thing ends and the other thing starts too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an older look.
That's back.
And they're giving it new life. So I guess, I don't know. I think that would be a hard thing for people to do. What is here and here to stay and just going to be something that we all have to do, there's just no choice about it, is paying attention to sustainability. And Anita brought this up in our trend forecast episode. And so I want to go a little bit deeper today to tell you how you can actually start to be not only more aware, but also use your dollars to express how you feel about sustainability. And by doing so, purchasing from companies that are making the efforts. So I found this website. Now, by no means is this exclusive to, that only these companies that are listed there are using sustainable practices and whatnot, but it gives you a good starting point. They may or may not be members of this particular association. So, you have to do your own research. And, sometimes it's also a live and learn thing. You might order from a company that claims to be very sustainable, and then it comes with styrofoam peanuts and plastic, and it's wrapped, and it's got, it comes in a gigantic box, and it's a little thing, so you kind of like, that's a live and learn thing. But here's a good starting place. It's the Sustainable Furnishings Council, and it's operated out of High Point, and their mission is to help companies reduce their footprint and to help consumers find healthy furnishings. So that's a good mission statement. And they have like 12 pages of companies that are listed in alphabetical order. So you could just punch in a company that you might be curious about, see if it's on the list. You could also just run through and see who's there. So I'll name a few that you might be familiar with. Lee Industries. Lee advertises in a lot of print magazines, so you may have seen them. And a lot of what they talk about in their advertising is their sustainable practices. Cisco Brothers. Now that is a hometown LA company. There's actually a Cisco Brothers store right across from my Whole Foods, but they are sold all over the country as well. And that is definitely a sustainable company you might want to look into. Room and Board is Mitchell Gold and Bob Williams. And there's several other companies, many of which I had never heard of before. And they also give you the rating. So one is I don't know if they call it gold standard or gold level. And then it goes down to qualifying. So you can see what all the different designations are and then decide, is this a company I want to purchase from? Again, it's not an exclusive list, but it is a good place to start and to give you some knowledge about how are these companies sustainable. And then you might translate that information to a company that you really want to work with.
I love that list. And I wish we had more lists of companies like that where you can kind of see how they're doing on certain topics like sustainability, like waste in shipping, and so many other topics. That would be nice. So that, like, we've got the organic designation. I think it's great to have this list. And I hope that there'd be more lists available where you can easily see where a company stands on certain issues. So good. I'm glad you found that.
Yeah. And I would imagine that in the future, there is going to be more and more of this because for exactly the reason that we're talking about. I mean, people are mindful of it. People are aware when they have the opportunity and the budget. If it costs a little bit more, a lot of people might be willing to pay a little bit more for a product from a company that is using sustainable practices. So, and that's really it's up to everyone to make that own decisions for themselves, but it's just really great to have the information.
Yes. I mean, so you can make an informed decision, because if you don't have the information, then you're just buying things in the dark. You just don't know.
Yeah. And, and we all do that. I do it all the time, and still, but I'm really making more of a concerted effort. What we always talk about, and we really haven't talked about thrift shopping in a long time. So let's throw in a plug for thrift shopping here. It's not
talk about being green
necessarily.
That's a really green decision.
Exactly. It's not being named as a trend, but that's all part of this sustainability thing. Reuse it. Thrift shop. It's not going to land in the landfill if it's landing in your living room. Right. So, thumbs up to anybody who's shopping that way. You're doing your part.
Take something vintage, paint it a color that's pretty hot right now, and then you're on trend and you've got something awesome that's well made.
Paint it. Yeah, let's see. Paint it Backwoods by Benjamin Moore, a dark, moody
And
green. And you are on it.
speaking of paint, I'm thinking of another thing. Are you seeing the black and white rooms? And I know you love
Yeah.
black and white, so I knew you just love this one. But I think that's going to be, we're going to see more and more of that this year.
I love it. I love that contrast. And I never thought I would. It just called out to me with this house. And I think it is because it was just it was just so dirty, and it was in such a state of like, oh, it was just so ramshackle. And I thought, it needs to be all clean. It just needs to be all like, oh, really, just get this all out of here and let's clean this place up. And I just find that the black and white is so easy to live with, and it's just so easy to snap in. I mean, I could even snap in chartreuse if I was so inclined, but I can snap in any color I want.
Well,
and
that's what I was,
there's a lot of black and white wallpaper.
well, that's what I was going to say. If you got black and white, that's a neutral backdrop. So you can pull in or throw in, take out or put in whatever complementary color you want to kind of add to it. So you can add a pink, you can add blue, green, chartreuse, yellow. I mean, whatever you want. Most colors are going to go with black and white.
Yeah, it's a nice way to decorate. So I have my crush.
Well,
to
hold
talk
on.
about.
We've
Do you
got
have anything else to talk about on your list?
Let's do our hot topic first.
Oh gosh, hot topic. Yes, I'm getting used to hot topic.
Yes, and we'll include the link in the show notes. This is a Better Homes and Gardens article, and the title of it is "Accent Walls Are In: The 8 Best Bathroom Trends to Try in 2020." And we're just going to pull out one of those to talk about today, and that is the accent walls. So accent walls in a bathroom. And a 2019 trend report from House revealed that more than 1/3 of renovating homeowners are now choosing to include an accent wall in their bathrooms. So I thought this would be interesting to talk about. But so the picture they showed was a wall of wallpaper. So, but I assume it could be an accent color or wallpaper. So here's my thoughts here when I read this. A bathroom is a small room. So why are you just doing one wall? I don't know why you wouldn't just do the whole room, especially with all the tile in there and the cabinetry. I wouldn't think it would be that much more to just wallpaper or paint the entire room with whatever your accent is. So I don't know. My thoughts on this were why don't you just do the whole room? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Kelly?
Yeah. I think it's probably the dumbest place to say that an accent wall is appropriate for all the reasons you're saying. Unless you have a tremendously huge bathroom and at the far end of it, there's a freestanding tub. And behind that, you do an accent wall. Like that, I was trying to think of the only way I think that would work. Because otherwise, I just think it looks like you ran out of paint or you ran out of wallpaper.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. Especially in a small space. I think it's even more questionable in a small space where it's going to leave questions. Is why did they do this? In a big room, you can say, okay, it's an accent wall, but I'm not used to seeing it in a bathroom. And again, it's just not that much more. I wouldn't think. It's a small space.
This must be a small group of people who are really into accent walls, and they heard accent walls are out, which they are, and they should be. They had their time and they're gone. And they just wanted to bring it back somewhere. They're like, let's slip it into the bathroom. No one will even notice. We're just bringing it back for the bathroom. I don't think it's a great idea. I really, if you like an accent wall, we did get a few emails when we talked about accent walls being out of people that love their accent walls, and we love you, and we love that you love your accent walls. And if it's a wall that could like kind of cries out for some special attention, or it's kind of like under the
maybe behind the bed
area, or it's
in
tucked.
A bedroom, that wall, that makes a little more sense to me than this.
If it makes sense, but just to have an accent wall, which is what was going on when accent walls were on trend, that day is over. And now trying to cram one into a bathroom, I say no. I say stop the madness.
So DTT, we're both thumbs down on this one.
Yeah, thumbs down on that.
Okay, now, what is your crush?
Okay, I'm definitely thumbs up on this. This is a food.
Well, I do love food.
I do love the food. Well, we do. We talked about the Hello Fresh food. Okay, I bought this. Well, I don't even really I don't know what drew me to it. I do love sweet potatoes, and I was just feeling like comfort
I love
foodie.
sweet potato fries that I make, just in the oven, roast them. Yeah.
Okay, but these are not fries. They're it's like for kids. They are in these fun little shapes, like people and stars and stuff like that. And I didn't really realize at that time that they were more sort of little kids' foods. Dr. Prager, Prager. It doesn't sound like he should be making food. He should be like giving you a prescription or something. But they're Dr. Prager's sweet potato littles, and oh my goodness, they are so
do you bake these? What?
You just bake them. And if you have little kids, and sweet potatoes are a great way to get, lots of vitamins into your little kids. Well, Laura loves them. I love them. When Peter's away, sometimes we just make those as our side
are they
dish.
like roasted? Is that how you bake them?
You just bake them and they get a little crispy on the edges. So yummy. So yummy. And then I ventured further into the Dr. Prager line. They have kale tots. They're like tater tots, but they're kale in them.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Good.
Well, good way to get in those veggies for your fussy eaters.
Exactly. And both of those, and that I know he has a whole nother line. So in your grocer's freezer, I got them at Whole Foods, but I think they're probably in a lot of different grocery stores as well. So Dr. Prager, sweet potato littles, and then the kale tots I've tried.
Yeah. So if you don't have time to cut the sweet potatoes, peel them and cut them, or...
Well, I now would only have a sweet potato fry if it was cut into a little shape of a moon or a star or a little man.
All right. Okay.
What's your crush?
My crush is a soft surrounding item that they sent me. It's a gorgeous blue leopard chenille coverlet, or you can use it as a blanket. It's so pretty. I love it in the blue. It comes in some other colors, but you know how I love blue. And anyway, they sent it to me, and it's just, I don't know. I'm just in love with it right now. I'm just enjoying it. And tonight, it's a cold day. I'm going to be wrapped up in that blanket, but it comes in, twin, king, queen, whatever size you need for your bed. I'll include a link for it, but it's, and the other thing is I went ahead and got the king size for a queen size bed. Yeah. And I think that's a good way to go.
I kind of think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I know.
Tip.
Because otherwise it just sometimes,
they're too big. Like what did I get? I was saying Land's End, but I think it's the LL Bean linen sheets. One of our lovely listeners corrected me. So I think it was those LL Bean linen
Land's
sheets.
End. Now Land's End, I think.
Land's End. So I must have said the other one. They are gigantic. Like they drip over
the sheets, you have to get the right size. But if it's a blanket,
most of the time, it's skimpy.
The blankets are almost always too small. And these days, the mattresses are so deep. It's like they made these blankets for the old-timey mattresses that were 7-inch mattresses. Well, most mattresses aren't 7 inches anymore. Most of them are like, 10 to 15 inches. And I don't think they've kept up with the blanket sizes. So if you have a deep mattress, you really have to go one step up for the blankets. Or like a coverlet. Be careful. Yeah. So measure those. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's really beautiful. I know you would love it. It's really nice. We love the leopard print. And this comes in a kind of a rust color you could get, a cream, or the blue.
Nice. Okay. I'm going to check that out. BritBox just keeps getting better. The new Archie is amazing. And it's not the comics. It's about Cary Grant. Archie is the brand new limited series starring Jason Isaacs as Archie Leach, the man who became Cary Grant. From the award-winning screenwriter of Philomena, Archie tells Grant's born in Britain, made in Hollywood story, the dramatic grit to glamour transformation that led him to become one of the most famous people in the world. You are going to absolutely love the acting, but also the styling, the outfits, the scenery. It's the first time his story has been told in collaboration with his daughter Jennifer Grant and ex-wife Diane Cannon. The performances from Jason Isaacs and the rest of the cast are amazing, and it's only available on BritBox. So sign up for BritBox today to stream Archie and other fan favorites from any device. And we have a special limited time offer for our U.S. and Canadian listeners. Get 50% off. Yes, that's 50% off your first month when you sign up for a monthly plan. But only if you go to BritBox.com and use our promotion code DTT at checkout. You're going to love Archie. So head over right now and get 50% off your first month of BritBox. Use the promotion code DTT at BritBox.com. Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quince. I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor, and I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Our question today, this is a very good question, and a lot of people might be confused about that or have the same question at some point in their decorating career. What looks better, inside mount or outside mount, when you're talking about woven shades or Roman shades? And this is from Jenny O. Jenny, I'm excited that you're getting new window treatments.
Yeah, Jenny.
So it really depends on the window. You need to have a certain amount of space to have it inside mount, and that will depend upon the window and the type of treatment that you have selected. Because you can imagine the mechanism needs some space, especially if it's a shade that's, going to go up and down all the time. So you might be limited right there in your choices, whether to go inside or outside. So outside is obviously a lot more forgiving, right? Inside, not only does you have to have the depth in the window, but you have to have also the thickness of the mechanism has to be able to fit in there. And you yourself, if you're doing home measuring, you have to be spot on. You can't be off by half an inch, because then your shade is not going to fit, or it's going to fall down because it's too small. So outside mount is a lot easier to deal with particularly if you're doing your own measuring. And also another plus on outside mount is you don't get that little sliver of light coming through the side. So if you're somebody who really needs to be very dark when you're sleeping, and you've gone to the extent of gotten blackout or privacy lining in your shades, and then they're on either side of the window, here comes the sunshine, here comes the daylight, that might be bothersome to you. So obviously if you go outside mount, it's going past the end of the window, and it will definitely limit the amount of light that might slip in.
Yeah, and I would add to that, Kelly. I agree with all of that. That sounds wonderful. If sometimes they have some predetermined sizes, and if you're going to use those, you can use some standard sizes if you're going to go with the outside mount. If you're going to go with inside mount, you're going to have it custom made most of the time. So you could save money if you did outside mount and went with standard sizes, which some of the companies have. Another thing that I keep in mind is, what kind of trim do you have around your window? So I have a lot of nice trim around my windows, and an outside mount would just not work on my windows because of all this trim around them. And then it would be covering it up, but also it's going to be fighting with it like how far do you go and everything. So I think that also depends on the trim. So if you don't have any trim around your windows, or it's not really something that you want to highlight, then I would definitely go outside mount, where if you have beautiful trim you want to highlight, you want to go inside. And as far as the measuring, I think you're absolutely right on that. You have to be more spot on the interior mounting. But I will say I've worked with blinds.com, and they will, if you've measured incorrectly and your blinds will not fit, they will replace them for free, even if it's your fault.
Wow, I wonder how many times they have to do that.
I don't know, but they say on their website that they do.
Oh, I believe they say they do. I'm just saying, wow, that's very nice of them to do that, because, hey, a lot of people don't measure right. Myself included have been off. One other point to that, you probably didn't realize you were going to get all this big long answer, did you, Jenny? Either inside or outside mount, see if the manufacturer has particularly when it's the natural woven, if they have they might call it a cornice or just sort of a topper to it. It's nice that when you just have that little like a little flap of the blind comes down and kind of covers the mechanism a little bit. And they don't necessarily have that as much with the fabric Romans, but I've definitely have seen that, and I have it in my own home with the natural woven.
I do too.
There's just a little bit of a top. I'm not calling it a valance. It's not that, but it just kind of, it's like a little flap that just like covers a header, right? It covers the mechanism, which is nice. It's just, especially if it's outside mount, then you don't see all that.
Yeah. Well, I think we've covered that probably.
Wow. Yeah.
More than she wanted. As we often do.
Be careful what you ask for. Wait, one more. No, I'm done.
Are you really done?
I really am done for today.
As always, it's so fun hanging out with you. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time.
I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.